Well, hello and welcome to the She Enjoys A Natter That Matters, where I invite a wonderful woman from the She Enjoys business building community to talk about herself, her business, her journey, any offers she's got. And if you want to obviously connect with her after this, then you can do, whether you're listening, watching, or you're tuning in. So today I have the wonderful Kezzabelle, Keza as I know her, Ambler, and she is going to tell you all about herself and what she does, and she might even do a little demonstration of what she does, which is no better way to discover, really. Hello, Kezzabelle, how are you?
Bonsoir, I'm great, thank you.
Do you know what? Bonsoir I love, but I don't speak any other French, so as soon as I say it, someone responds, I think, oh God, I've got myself into a French conversation, but all I can say is je m'appelle Vivienne, and that's it. So yes, introduce yourself to those that are receiving this.
Okay, well, I'm Kezzabelle Ambler. I'm a performance poet. I'm the 11th Bard of Northampton. I'm an author, and I run Weaving Words creative writing workshops in the community, in mental health boards, at festivals, all over. And I also run retreats.
Lovely. There's a lot of I am in there. Do you know,
There
when
is.
you look back at your very short life, because of course you're very young, but when you look at your life, I know, right? Do you ever think, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that? Did you? Tell me about that. What did you want to be when you grew up?
No, actually, I can't remember because I don't remember ever thinking I will be that or I will be this. But I was brought up in one of the first independent fashion boutiques in the late 70s. So I helped serve people in the boutique on a Saturday with my mum and watched her love of people and was around a lot of creatives and hippies, and even our childminders were usually strumming a guitar or making art. So I was around a lot of creative people. So that should have given me the hint, really.
Yeah, it does. That's why you like to wear a tutu, Kezzabelle. How cool. You always look really good. That explains a lot. So you've been kind of had it bred into you to always kind of put your best self forward. So that is very good. Lovely. And tell everybody what you do now then. So that little girl that grew up from the boutique, what happened to her?
And actually, that little girl was very shy, believe it or not. I know, and I'm on stage in front of hundreds now. And yes, I was a shy little girl. And the story begins when I wrote a poem when I was 12 and a half. And the teacher put A+, and you think, yes, A+. But then she crossed it out and put underneath, is this all your own work? And didn't believe that I wrote it.
No.
And do you know, I didn't write another poem for over 30 years. So I always speak to people about how, and I'm passionate about this, about how powerful words are, especially the spoken word. And the words we use as our self-critic and all that, powerful, absolutely powerful. So
for different reasons though, yeah. Yours is about the spoken word outside and mine's all about inside, but they are one and the same, really. You know, if you're telling yourself the wrong things inside, the right things can't come out, can they? So that poor little girl that was told basically that she'd lied, that she'd done something wrong. What encouraged you to go forward then? What to go from that, oh, I'm not doing that ever again, to, oh, actually, I'm going to? What was that step forward to where you are now?
There was a really difficult time in my life. I was struggling within my marriage. My granddad, who was 100 years old, he was dying, and there was a lot of change and a lot of difficulty. And I remember in my mid-40s writing a poem and hiding it. It was so revealing even to myself that I hid it. And that poem is in my latest book, Permission to Speak, because I found my voice and I'm passionate about helping others to find theirs as well. That was the beginning.
I did not know you were 40 when that all began. In my head, you were like in your teens. So that surprised me, actually. This natter really did matter to get to know you better. Yeah, and you've written lots of books. So tell, so obviously let's go through what you've done since then. So since that 40-year-old, what happened next?
Yes, I was 47 and I was scribbling little bits and bobs, and I was the only person I was sharing these little scribblings and poems and revealings was with my friend and one to my mum. And she said, these are great. And she did belly dancing and burlesque. And she said, we've got an event coming up and we need someone to read some poems in between the spaces so we can change. Would you do that? And I just said yes. I'd never done it before. I just said yes. And it was the little tiny playhouse theatre, very vaudeville playhouse theatre in Northampton. And I stood on that stage. It was about just under 100 people. I could only see the front row, thank God, because of the lighting. My right leg shook and I had these poems in my hand. And everybody loved them. Everyone loved them. And afterwards said, have you got a book?
Wow.
Which I didn't have. So for a year, I I did little open mics and really finding my place and pausing and what works and what doesn't. And a year later, did 2 paid gigs for the same people and took my first little booklet, which was called Truly Me. And that was the beginning. Yeah.
Lovely. And I mean, the woman I know today who has, performed poetry at my wedding, at my summit events, at my first coffee, cake and coaching, and I've obviously got your book. I just find that hard to believe that you were ever nervous, because you never come across like that, So tell, what do you do now then? So you've got Weaving Words workshop. Let's get the picture, like the grown-up version of where you got to.
So 14 years ago, I wrote that first poem. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of allowing myself to let my mind fall onto that page and actually being truthful with myself. Because when I run my Weaving Words workshops, we do that stream of consciousness, because sometimes we might edit it like, well, I won't put that because I feel a bit of an idiot, or that being truthful with yourself in a book. Have your own little book to scribble in or to journal in or whatever you want to call it. And that is powerful. So I run the Weaving Words workshops each week. But 7 years ago, I went freelance. Now, that was a huge step. So for 13 years, I was performing, watching others perform. Kate Tempest was in Corby and we supported them, and also going to their workshops. I learned so much, and Dean Atter and some big names now. I learned so much, and I just wanted to share what I learned. So around my dining room table 7 years ago, 8 people sat, and I made some flapjack, and we had little pots of tea, and we wrote. And I had a 6-week course, and after that 6 weeks, no one wanted to leave. And some of them still come now, all these years later.
Now that's how you build a business. Well, from the heart out. So they talk about building from the ground up, which most business owners do, but you were from the heart out and from your own experience. That's lovely, isn't it? And do you know what? You just made me realise why I don't journal. Like, I teach journaling, I understand it, but I very rarely do it. And I'm just realising that I had a quite a violent relationship with a guy when I was in my mid-20s, and I had diaries. They weren't really lots of my thoughts and feelings, but there was quite a lot of stuff in there, and there was lots of. Was very jealous and possessive, and he'd made me burn them all. And I'm just realizing it just feels like but I had no idea about this case. Oh, you just triggered that in me. That's probably why I don't do it, because he'd read them and he had loads of ammunition of, just my past. I had a past. I was only with a past. It was almost like I didn't want to put that down ever again. So so that's why possibly I don't journal, and possibly there's a few other people who would resonate with that. Don't want to have their stuff found, or when you're rich and famous, you don't want your kind of secret diaries to be discovered. But it's very powerful, definitely, to write your head into your pen right through into the paper.
And then we also do prompts as well. So once you've sort of let all that out, sometimes we share it vocally, sometimes we don't, depending. And sometimes we cry, we laugh, we might have some little saucy conversations, and it goes all over the place. But then I'll do a prompt, and it might be something that we smell, or it might be something that we taste, or a prompt, a line, or something from the garden, or whatever it is. And so it's in person and online. Some people come online from all over the world, actually, from Mauritius.
That's marvellous. Why have I not been to this? How have I not been to one of these? I find this quite bizarre, actually. I fully understand what it was, actually. This has really helped me, genuinely, apart from everybody else listening and watching. It's genuinely So how can people come? How can people get involved? What do you want from anybody that's listening?
So they just go on my website, kezzabelle.co.uk, and they can book a slot. It's as simple as that. Or I do a 10-15 minute chat if they want to know more. And lovely. I'm on all the social medias anyway, but I also host and do speaking events and things. So I've got some of those coming up soon. And so I shall be a sparkly host for a charity event introducing singers and dancing and and beautiful meals and things. And I'm also doing some poetry in between Northampton Male Voice Choir in St Giles Church.
Yes, so
sort of
people can
wintry tales
to
and
come and be their compere or their entertainment or their fabulous fulfillment from between things too. And lovely. And I know you've got a poem that you're going to share today. Your own.
Yes, I want to encourage whoever's watching this to have a go. And like I say, I was very shy, and my book, Permission to Speak, I want to encourage people to find their voice. And I've got a new book coming out soon called Permission to Love Yourself. That's in 2023. So that will be the beginning. So here we go. It's called Permission to Speak. We all have a story, questions, intentions, desires, a wish, family memories, love, realities, anguish, conversations buried, suppressed needs to express, to declare our truth, to process and address. Creative expressions may start with a brushstroke, a whisper, a written word. Sing out your life dance. Now is the time to be heard. Let's voice our observations and feelings. Drown out that inner critique. Truly bless and give ourselves full permission to speak. Yay!
It gives me little fine tingles whenever I hear you, always. Thank you very much for sharing that. And that's obviously in the permission book. That's in that book, isn't it? Yeah. So get that on your website as well, I'm assuming, all the books.
And there's also an audio. One of the first people, I have the audio and CD, this audio download and CD. One of the first people to have that was a blind lady. And I was dressed as a mermaid at Felix Stowe Literary Festival, and we were on the beach, and there was a little hut, and there was an 8-foot octopus, and I was getting kids to scribble and write and paint, and this lady said to her husband, "What's going on here?" And she felt my crown of shells, and we looked out to sea, and I read this poem to her about the ocean, and she said, "I love that." And she was one of the first people to have my CD of Permission to Speak.
Kezzabelle. You're such a world, you really are, and I don't know if anyone could ever think anything other, even if they haven't met you and they just meet you for the first time. So it is really
thank you. I'm a blush.
In our community and in our world and in our lives, it's very lovely, darling. So thank you for being here just for this short time. And if you want to get in touch with Kezzabelle, she's a very friendly character, as you can probably tell. You'll find her on all the social media channels and also on her website, where you can get involved with her Weaving Words or her book or anything, where
or just getting up to mischief.
She loves cake and coffee, I know that for a fact. So quite happy to get involved. So do so. Do follow her, follow her words of wisdom and her words of joy. And it's not often you can get moved by just somebody sharing words. It's very beautiful. So thank you very much for being here, my darling.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.